Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Postgame Show Podcast. Luke Stuckmeyer, Kevin Wells down on the end, and of course, you know, Cody Del Mendo. Disappointing 3-1 loss to the Brewers. Big shout out to everybody that showed up here and joined us before the game and in the bleachers, and now after the game here at Almost Home on Clark. We thank them and our friends at Circa Sports, and as well as our friends at Blue Moon. This was brutal. Brutal. Everybody could see it in the whole stadium. It's 1-0, and Alzolay comes in, and all of a sudden you could just feel the anxiety into the ballpark. He has struggled this year. I don't know what else to say. They got to get him right. Craig Counsell already said it after the game in the clubhouse. We need Adbert. Got to get Adbert right.
Yeah, I mean, listen, brother. I know the offense sucked today, and I'm honestly more upset about the offense, but at the same time, when you have a 1-0 lead late, bring it in. Sorry. When you have a 1-0 lead late, no matter what the score is, a one-run lead late, you got to be able to bring a guy in who can hold it down for you, man, and he just hasn't. And the moment they took Lovelady out to put him in, not one person in that beautiful historic Wrigley Field today felt good. I didn't feel good, and yeah, man, I don't really know what else to say other than you can't. We learned the other day you can't option him. He doesn't have any options left, so you have to either Phantom IL him or DFA, and I don't think
they can't afford a DFA.
I don't think the Cubs will DFA, but it's tough. Admittedly, I'm pissed about Alzolay, and I'm pissed about this offense, man. The offense took steps forward yesterday, and then they scored one run off 5.40 ERA Joe Ross today. Give me a break, man. I obviously I'm pissed about Alzolay, and honestly, I'm more pissed about Alzolay than I am the offense today, just because sometimes you just need guys to come through, and I felt like the bullpen took a step yesterday. I said on the postgame show yesterday that the bullpen, in my opinion, wasn't the reason to be upset yesterday. The guys that we were worried about wasn't good, or they were good yesterday. Then today, Alzolay just didn't have it, and it's so I don't know what else to say other than the same shit we've been saying. The offense sucks because Belly and Sayer are out. Guys aren't stepping up. You're not getting the big hits from the guys that you need to get the big hits from. And Alzolay he's just not good enough to bring in a one-run ball game in the 8th inning. So,
but you had nobody else.
Yeah, I mean, you probably didn't have anyone else today. So
there was nobody else. And here's the thing. Adbert Alzolay is struggling right now, and he is in a really bad spot. He's put the Cubs in a lot of bad spots. He's got a lot of losses. All 3 earned runs charged to him today. But a couple of those weak contact hits, at least if you're putting in a silver lining, they weren't hit all that hard. But still, you came in a high leverage spot, and you failed time and time again. But Craig Counsell's not to fault for this at all. He had nobody else. Adbert's on 3 days rest, and he came in, and you needed him to get 2 outs. He didn't need to, it was a clean inning. There was nobody on base. You got to get the job. You got to get the job done at some point, and I think Craig Counsell is going to take a lot of heat for this. Why wasn't so and so put in? Why wasn't so and so put in? That was the matchup. That was the opportunity, and he failed.
If we're going to sit here and blame the manager, then I will revert to just blaming the offense. You got to score more than 1 run, bro. I don't care that the wind was blowing in, dude. I don't get it. If we are going to revert, if people are going to revert to blaming the manager on this, I will revert to blaming the offense. I want to blame Adbert today just because he just hasn't been consistent or anything. He hasn't done anything. He's been
he struggled immensely.
He's on a large list of reasons they've lost games.
No question. Question about it.
That's who I'm putting it on today. But if people want to blame Craig Counsell, which I don't understand, then I will blame the offense.
It's exactly what you're saying, though. When you say I'm blaming this today, or no, it's both things.
Yeah,
both can be blamed. It's a combination of both, and the problem is this situation is going to continue to come up for the Cubs because all they play is 1-run games. They're in a 1-run game every night. Every night is a 1-run game. Why? because Seiya's out and Bellinger's out, and maybe the offense is still incomplete.
What did we talk about yesterday? How every single game in this series was going to be a barn burner like we just saw. Get your nitroglycerin pills ready. There's going to be a lot of heartburn
Why
out
are you
there.
looking at me for that?
Thank you, John Robson. I just think that, you know, if there is anything that resembles September of last year, it's been, you know, a little bit of a mixture of this week, but this game itself resembled September of last year more than anything else. You don't score runs, but you somehow get a run, and then what happens late? You blow it. And again, it was 1-0. It's not like you had a 5-0 lead and you lost. You had a 1-0 lead. So, yeah, a big part of me wants to blame the offense. But this is what resembles September of last year. How many times did they just have a 1-run lead late and they fucking blow it?
I think it resembles a lot of the last 5 to 6 years of Cubs Brewers baseball.
That too.
That's a competitive baseball team you're playing. That's a good baseball team. That's a good bullpen. That's a good starting rotation. And they are a scrappy lineup. They stole 4 bases on you in 1 inning.
Joe Ross has not been good. He has not been good. Today he was good. Whether that's because the Cubs lineup is not at full strength right now or not, I don't. The guy had almost a 6 ERA coming into today, giving up, walking the world, and all these things. You look at the number yourself. Whether it's because the Brewers know the Cubs and the Cubs know the Brewers, division rival, all this stuff, whatever. But if you look at Joe Ross's numbers coming into today, the Cubs absolutely should have scored more than 1 run today, and the fact that they didn't. It makes me want to pull my hair out and just, honestly, once we're done with this, I'm going to need at least 3, 4, 5, 20 blue moons. I don't know what to say anymore about this offense, and I don't know, like, it doesn't matter who the matchup is anymore when the Cubs are going up against this pitching, man. Hayden Wesneski was awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I could be sitting here right now
He was great.
with all these wonderful people that were hanging out with us in left field talking about how awesome Hayden Wesneski shoved it today. You know how much Hayden Wesneski was on Pitching Ninja today?
Yeah.
A fuck ton. And the fact that we're not talking about him right now makes me fucking frustrated, dude. It just makes me frustrated.
But he's the only Cub that really did their job. Now, you could say Morel's home run. He's the only guy. But the margin for error with the Cubs the way they are built this year and with the way their injuries are piling up, the margin for error for this team is tiny.
Yeah.
Any little thing can go wrong, and they did none of it right other than Wesneski. Wesneski shoved, and they get the home run from Morel, and you're like, well, how's that going to hold up? It's not going to hold up when you're getting thrown out on the bases because you're running the bases like fools.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nico had a tough day on the line today.
But this isn't the only game where the little things are failing the Cubs, and they can't afford the little things to fail them when you don't have Cody Bellinger, when you don't have Justin Steele, when you don't have Seiya Suzuki. Then you've got to run the bases professionally, and you have to field the ball professionally. Both things have not happened in the last 2 weeks for the Cubs. They've failed at both, and that's why it's been kind of a little bit of a roller coaster road because the margin for error is so small, they can't afford to do those things. They have 1 true home run hitter in the lineup today. Yeah. I know the wind was blowing in, but Morel's the only guy you looked at and were like, he could hit one out. Now, maybe Michael Busch, when he's rolling, can be that guy.
But he had a good day, too.
I know, but he's not a proven home run hitter in the major leagues. You just don't have that kind of slug right now. Dansby's not that guy. Nico's not that guy. Talkman will hit home runs, but he's not a home run hitter. Yeah. So your lineup is full of a lot of really good quality baseball players, but not power hitters that can help you get out of a 1-run game. That's why last night, when you're leading 4-0, is even more devastating than even today, in my mind. Yeah. Because when you actually have a 4-0 lead and you can't hold it, now you're burning the bullpen all the way through it, and you should have been able to hold on to a 4-run lead. A one-run lead, this is baseball, and we've seen that the bullpen is not able to hold the 1-run lead very often.
You mentioned Nico not getting the second base on that hit, but what about Amaya?
I don't know what he was doing. He stopped running to second base. He was going to be out, but at least turn around and get in a rundown or something. He gave up.
It was like he assumed he was getting to second base on that ball into the.
It was terrible.
In the right field gap or whatever, right center gap,
And we'll talk about his defense later in the show, but that was a little bit questionable parts of...
And I don't know either if he was sent, because we know when you look at Miguel Amaya's sprint speed, he is one of the slower guys in all of the big leagues. I don't know if he was sent on that play, but either way, you're right. Why are you pulling up 25 feet in front of second
Well, don't
base?
just quit.
Right. Get in a rundown.
Make them throw the ball
The
twice.
Brewers play very good defense, Adames, and they have a very good second baseman. Terang played very well. Why not get in a rundown here?
Nick in the chat says, Kev, I'm sorry, brother, but you look like you look like I would after a game such sunburnt.
Oh, dude,
Me
I
too.
am. You
Look
would
at the
not
farmer's
believe
tan.
I
Look
am,
at that.
You want to see this?
Don't
Look
let
at
the
this.
pythons
This
get
is
in the way.
unbelievable. I am so burnt. Luke and I were talking about this before we walked into that ballpark.
Oh my
I had
God,
my
it's
sweatshirt
bad.
on and I took it off because it was hot. No one had sunscreen for us. Braggs went back to his car, didn't have sunscreen. Nobody had sunscreen.
I regret not
I'm
wearing
screwed.
shorts today.
Look
really
at,
don't.
it's bad.
How
My
in
face is all right.
2024 do they not have sunscreen vendors at a ballpark?
I mean,
That
you
might
could
be
bring
a
your
thing.
own in.
CHGO
Today
sunscreen
today
vendors.
would have been the day that I would have paid for it. I'm paying for it now. Look
was
at me.
terrible.
Anyway, I needed that laugh just because like this game's just super frustrating. You know, like there's nothing really good from it other than Hayden Wesneski, who we'll probably talk about eventually. But
And he was fantastic
He
today.
was.
Let's
He
not
was.
let this regular season, early May game distract how good Hayden Wesneski was today. He was fantastic. His best start in a Cubs uniform.
Again, I don't know what else to really say about Alzolay. Like when the game ended, some of the people out here at Almost Home said, you better go in on Alzolay. You better go in on Alzolay. Like again, like I am acknowledging the fact that like I just don't trust him in any situation anymore, and I don't really know what you do with him other than Phantom IL him. You know, like that's basically where we're at because the last two outings have cost them games, but. This offense, like, I feel like we're at a point where, at the very least, you have to change the lineup up a bit. Hap had 2 hits today, but no one could get the big hit when the Cubs needed it, man. You had multiple guys on. There was, the second inning? It was either the first or second inning. Michael Busch, leadoff double. Then I think it was either strikeout, fly out, and nothing. Like, there's plenty of innings where this team could have had more than just the 1 run, and it was off a Christopher Morel dead center homer. I agree about Alzolay. You gotta change it up. You gotta do something. You gotta make a change with him. However, you still gotta score more than 1 run.
The organization is in a place right now. It's in a very healthy spot where they are having these conversations like we are having right now on the air.
Right.
Matt Mervis is really struggling at the plate right now, immensely. He came up in 2 huge spots today.
Did nothing.
Yeah. Dansby is having a tough... Dansby's going to turn it around. The weather's getting better. He's going to turn it around. He's had a tough start to the year in general on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
But Matt Mervis right now... He's a complete liability in the lineup. He came up in 2 big spots today with guys in scoring position and didn't even put the ball in play. They need another bat. I don't know who that's going to be, but this is a conversation
Slaughter.
they are having.
Do not pander to Gary.
But listen, they're having that conversation
kidding,
right now.
Gary.
They are having that conversation. Whether that's Patrick Wisdom just had the day off today, didn't have a chance to come pinch hit. It's going to be somebody that's going to come up. Mervis is going to have some more time to get it right in AAA.
It's telling whenever in previous games we've seen Nick Madrigal pinch hit for Matt Mervis. Right?
Right. Right. 100%.
And whenever Mervis was promoted, I said something along the lines of the leash for him will be shorter for fans. I'm curious to what the organization is. You know what I mean? Like, I know a large part of why he's here is because of injury, but, they also DFA'd Garrett Cooper, who had been producing, And to me, when they DFA'd Garrett Cooper, it was telling me that, we're giving this guy a full chance to try and earn a spot on this roster and be part of the future, to earn a roster spot. And so far at this point, he just hasn't done it.
Yeah, he hurt them today in a lot of ways, a couple ways.
I know Cooper is a guy that they wanted to mainly face lefties, and he's a left-hand hitter to face mainly righties. But Patrick Wisdom basically does what Garrett Cooper was asked to do. The point I'm trying to make though is that they legitimately DFA'd a guy because they wanted to give Mervis this opportunity. It just hasn't led to anything other than frustration and pain.
It was a frustrating loss, 3-1 to the Brewers. It did not stop the Friday 120 Club at CHGO from having a good time.
Yeah.
Vibes were at an all-time high until the game ended.
Yeah.
And hopefully Ryan Herrera is going to get his clubhouse interviews and be able to join us here at Almost Home on Clark.
Yeah, I'm going to need him to take my spot. I look terrible on camera, apparently.
Yeah, you look bad. You do look bad.
This white and
Come
red.
on, man. Look at this.
I thought
Don't
you were.
you screenshot this, Chad. I'm looking at you. Don't you screenshot me.
I
Come
thought
on.
he was showing off IU colors or something. I didn't know what that was. By the way, I saw Mark Carmen and Greg Braggs over there doing shots of something, so that's getting dangerous.
I give a shout out to everyone here at Almost Home who's hanging out with us at the ballpark. We got some people right here, first table right here. They were all with us.
Yeah,
we
front
got
row's almost as bad as me.
We got Sean Caselli, who's always in our YouTube chat out here.
Yeah.
In the YouTube chat right now. Shout out Sean Caselli.
Caselli wants Owen Casey called up.
Yeah.
Owen Casey,
We
call
have
him
a
up.
large crowd here watching us today. And honestly, the good news is y'all are here. And after the show, we're going to cheer some beers, maybe do a few shots to get through this pain. And we wouldn't be here without y'all, so I appreciate y'all.
But first, it's grilling season. Get your pork. People who are active need more protein than the average American. In fact, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics Dietitians of Canada and American College of Sports Medicine recommend 1.2 to 2.0 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for athletes, depending on training. So for a 150-pound person, if you don't math, that's about 81 to 136 grams of protein per day. One 3-ounce serving of pork provides 23 grams of high-quality protein that can help active individuals build and preserve muscle. The International Society of Sports Nutrition recommends that people who are involved in general fitness programs or who are interested in optimizing their health eat lean cuts of pork. Elevate your protein game with lean pork, a powerhouse of natural goodness. Savor the flavor, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by Illinois' pig farmers. From your sausage and bacon for breakfast to pulled pork or juicy hot chops off the grill, the entire season dedicated to pork and the people behind the product, paid for by Illinois pork producers. Generations of commitment. You know what would go good right now, Joey?
Yeah, what would that be, Luke?
First, I love Blue Moon. I also love a good Penrose seltzer. A good Penrose seltzer every once in a while when you're hot. The Seltz-Ups, hard seltzers from Geneva, Illinois, with real fruit, led by Lemon Seltz-Up, a national gold medal winning hard seltzer with real lemons, created on a unique twist on the old lemon shake-up with a house-made hard seltzer, pureed lemons, and a throwback to warm weather from country fairs. Also, the Lemon Tee-Up, just released this year, the Transfusion Seltzer. Seltz-Up. It's a popular golf cocktail, grape, ginger, and lime. Penrose, available at your local beverage retailer, or visit Penrose Taproom in Geneva. For more information, go to penrosebrewing.com or follow them on social media at Penrose Brewing. Let's keep this positive. I've had enough.
Wait, can we keep it positive for 1 second?
Yeah.
It was not a great athletic day for everybody. Alzolay struggled, Mervis struggled. One person who had a great athletic day, Iris Flanagan, Jake's daughter. Shout out to Iris, who made the Chicago Inferno travel soccer team. So we love that for Iris.
Shout out to Jake's daughter.
Wow.
Love that.
W, fly the W for Iris.
Little positivity as we head into the weekend.
Listen,
I love that. Congrats to Iris. That's
We're always
amazing.
looking for good news around here, brother.
Yeah, Iris. So it's Iris and Hayden Wesneski. Where is your faith or confidence level or circle of trust for Hayden Wesneski? Is he in it, and is he in it as a starter, or is he in it as a reliever, or is he in it as a combo man?
Kevin, you go first.
Well, where the Cubs stand in their starting rotation, they're getting Justin Steele back on Monday, that official today.
Yep.
He's starting, he's back. That means one less spot. Hayden Wesneski's not a starter on this team. He's not one of the 5 best starters on this team. He had an awesome start today. Honestly, I told Luke before the game I was a little concerned with the way the Brewers have been swinging the bats, that Wesneski coming in and him shifting from the bullpen to the rotation, that's a lot in this league. He had an unbelievable day pitching. However, he's going to have to be that long-term relief pitcher right now. We saw Keegan Thompson struggle yesterday. They don't have enough arms in that bullpen to get the job done right now. My confidence level in him is probably middle of the road still. He's a guy that I would trust more than Alzolay at this moment in time, but he's not the 5th starter on this team yet. They have guys that will come back that will take that spot. And I think his value to this team is going to be more in that long-term relief role, and especially in these one-run games, because, man, he had a ton of swing and miss today. The sweeper was outstanding. I mean, some of the best sliders we've seen. Yep. Corey has said a couple times on this show that that's the best pitch on the team, and it was on full display for about 34,000 people today. He was great. Hayden was great today.
So, with Steele coming back on Monday, like you said, Kevin, you got Steele, Shota, 1-2 punch, great 1-2 punch, right? Tyone.
Pitches tomorrow.
Right? And then, the Ass Man. And
Assad and Wicks.
Wicks will be back.
Wicks will be back. I think Assad has shown to be very solid in this rotation, and he's earned a spot, undoubtedly. I just don't think he gets the swing and miss that Hayden gets. So, I guess you could look at it one way. The bullpen, when we talk about Alzolay, what do we talk about? How he doesn't get enough swing and miss, right? So in one way, I don't necessarily think when you put Wesneski back in the bullpen that he should be your long relief guy. Hell, maybe he should be going in there and just being any role. Maybe. I don't know if he can do that. But I do know that the Ass Man showed last year that he was versatile, and it was someone who could do long relief, could pitch middle relief, also late inning relief too. He showed that all of last year. So to me, based off what I've seen with my eyes, I'm putting the Ass Man back into the bullpen because we've seen that he can do that, and rolling with Wesneski as a starter because he's getting the swing and miss, and I feel good with the Ass Man doing whatever it takes. That said, I like either one going in whatever role because they both have been good. If there's any positive of this entire season that we've seen so far, has been the emergence of Hayden Wesneski, Javier Assad, and even Keegan Thompson. I know Keegan Thompson
and
wasn't
Ben
good
Brown.
yesterday.
Don't forget Ben Brown. I think Ben Brown might be more effective in the bullpen right now.
I know Keegan Thompson wasn't good yesterday, but before yesterday, he hadn't given up a run all season, right? So with those four guys, I think in the long run, if you have all four of those in your bullpen, your bullpen's probably really good, and that's why you need Kyle Hendricks to get back and be healthy, right? But I think for the next week, 2 weeks, whatever, I'm probably more willing to roll with Wesneski as that starter just because, one, he went 6 innings today, something that
against a very good lineup.
Against one of the best offenses in the league so far this year. Mm-hmm. And that's something that Assad
he was impressive.
Assad hasn't done that. He's been fine. He's been good. He's not allowed runs. But has he been able to go deeper in the games? Wesneski went 6 innings today, and honestly, you could have argued him coming out for the 7th inning based off his pitch count, right?
He got 1 in the 7th, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, he had one out.
And then, no, but you're right, though. Right. He probably could have finished that inning,
Assad has done that, once, twice, maybe?
Assad's never gone to the 7th, I don't think. Not this year. No.
Not this year. I just think Assad, with his versatility, being able to put him back in the bullpen can be very beneficial. But again, I'm okay with whatever they do when it comes to those two because they've been so productive, and Assad specifically has shown that no matter what role that you put him in, he will find a way to give you production in it.
This is going to sound like an excuse, and that's because it is an excuse. But don't be stressed out by the struggles of the bullpen and the rotation flipping back and forth right now. Because the plan always has been to try and fix it later. Now, I'm not saying that's the right plan, but that was the game plan going in. If it had to be fixed, that they would fix it. Now, injuries have sped up that process potentially, okay?
Yeah.
So, while I don't feel any confidence right now when Alzolay comes into the game, my mindset in 8 weeks, I wish we didn't have to wait that long. It's a shame that we have to wait that long. But the way that this team was created, that was the game plan. So in 8 weeks, you could have a rotation that has Steele, Imanaga, Tyone, Cade Horton.
Yeah.
And then whoever you want at number 5. And now the bullpen might have the Ass Man. It might have Keegan Thompson. It might have an added player from a trade.
Yeah.
A critical arm from the trade. It might have Wesneski. It might have Ben Brown. And now you start to look at guys and you say, well, wait a minute. Merriweather will eventually be back. Now you might have some options to figure out. You've got to, because that was the decision they made, I guess you have to tread water long enough. My question is, I wonder if they're considering going after that outside help earlier than they would have. Now, a lot of teams aren't going to be willing to give you that unless you're going to overpay even more now.
And Jed knows that.
Jed knows
knows
so
that.
My guess is the answer is no, and he's thinking to himself, here's what we're going to do. We're going to try and tread water, and I'm going to try and find answers on some of these imperfect, still developing prospects and pitchers in many cases. And so he's going to find out who he can really count on in different times, where they're effective, where they're not. And my guess is the bullpen's going to look very different 8 weeks from now than it does today. It's frustrating and it's hard to wait that long.
We said the same thing last year, though.
But
it's the bullpen.
Same exact thing happened last year.
It did. But I think
but you had a guy in Michael Fulmer last year who covered up a lot of the deficiencies of that bullpen. He was the guy who could get
got him in the right role.
And they didn't have as many guys. They had guys that were failing more than they had guys that were injured in the pitching staff. Okay, so the injuries have just piled up for a team that thought they had pitching depth. And I guess they do, but is it pitching depth if it's not quality ready pitching depth? That's the problem.
What do good teams do in this league? In every sport, they expose your inadequacies and what you're bad at. The Brewers did that today. They exposed the fact that the Cubs are struggling to throw guys out on the bases, and they exposed the bullpen. They did both of those things. The Cubs will eventually find guys to fill those roles. But the good part about having Craig Counsell in his role and having him on this team is he has a lot of say in who's going to throw and who's going to not. There's been a quick poll on guys. When you lose games like you do today, questions are answered pretty quickly about who are we going to put in this spot. I guarantee you they are looking at this bullpen right now like, this is a problem. We know it's a problem. It's early. We have plenty of time now to figure this out. Now is the time to figure it out, though. You don't want to go and overpay for a guy. Getting guys healthy is half the equation, but the other half is, hey, we might need to make a trade here because you don't play as many games against divisional opponents anymore, and losing close games as they did towards, like Cody, you said last August and September, losing that many games on the margin is really going to hurt when this division comes down to September and August and you are within a game or two. And I know Ryan is here, so I will step aside here pretty shortly, but the two deficiencies the Cubs have right now, obviously the offense is hurt. That's going to fix itself. They were a league average above offense last year when they had guys. That's not as concerning to me. Right now what's concerning is they have one trustworthy arm in that bullpen. Everybody else is like, man, oh man, who am I going to put in here? You got to figure that out, and you really have to start figuring out why you can't throw guys out on the bases, because the Brewers stole 4 batters in the 8th inning. The Cubs have thrown 3 guys out all year between their 2 catchers. The Brewers stole more bases in that 8th inning than guys that have been thrown out all year by Cubs catchers. That has to change. The bullpen has to change. And you got time. You have time. It's early May. You have time to figure it out.
I just don't want to be saying that in August.
Right. And that's what I mean. You have time to figure it out.
Our beat reporter, Ryan Herrera, has joined us from the Cubs clubhouse. He's going to join us here in just a couple of minutes. We're going to take a quick break and talk about all of our great sponsors here at CHGO who help us do this, including our friends at Circa Sportsbook and, of course, our friends here at Almost Home on Clark, a great bar in Wrigleyville. Now, some beers can say they're brewed for baseball, but only Blue Moon is brewed by baseball. Beer and baseball just go together. No beer goes better than the one that was literally born in a ballpark, created at Coors Field in Denver, Colorado. It's the natural choice for all season long. I love a good Blue Moon when I barbecue in the summer. It just screams good times. Blue Moon with ribs, check. Blue Moon with burgers, bingo. Blue Moon with steaks, yowza. Set me up with some of that stuff. Blue Moon isn't just another beer, it's a whole different experience. Best served with its signature orange garnish to showcase its beautiful hazy color. A beer this good only comes around once in a Blue Moon, but you can enjoy it all season long. Bring the ballpark to you with Blue Moon Belgian-style wheat ale. It's one of a kind every time. Get Blue Moon delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. That's us. To see your delivery options, that's get.bluemoonbeer.com/CHGO. Blue Moon made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Prize Picks. Let me tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America, the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in, folks. Baseball season is officially underway, and there's no better way to cash in on the action than Prize Picks. Add your favorite players from the diamond to your Prize Picks lineups all season long. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry today. I might start adding no-run first inning for every Cubs game until they prove me otherwise, because they aren't giving up runs in the first inning, and they also aren't scoring runs in the first inning, because this offense makes me have heartburn. That said, Ian Happ's starting to get it going. Michael Busch, 2 more hits today. At least there are some guys that are starting to hit. We just need some run producers. You would have done that today. You want to win some money on Prize Picks, all right? So, Prize Picks, again, I love this app. So you too can love this app if you go to prizepicks.com/CHGO and use code CHGO for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/CHGO and use code CHGO. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy, people.
Hey, we got a super chat alert. Ben Warren, $9.99, here from Florida at the 120 Club with the most beautiful Cub fan in the world, my wife Ingrid, whose birthday is tomorrow. Happy birthday.
He's literally right over there, I'm pretty sure.
Wow, well-played
right
card.
There. He's got the beer bat right there.
Yeah, it's a well-played card right there.
Happy birthday, Ingrid. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I'm sorry they lost on your birthday. If it makes you feel any better, Keegan Thompson gave up a 6-0 lead last year on my birthday.
You got that in common.
Yeah.
So Ryan Herrera joins us from the Cubs clubhouse, where I'm guessing guys weren't too excited about what happened. It's another one-run game for a while, and then just not enough offense and just not enough arms to close it down.
Yeah, no, it's I think that lost in the Adbert Alzolay struggle outing, another blown lead with Alzolay on the mound, is the fact that the lone run came on Morel's homer right to center field, and just not much else going offensively. I think they had
3 extra base hits.
Yeah, 3 extra base
home
hits.
run and a double, 2 doubles.
Weren't putting together rallies, obviously, running themselves off the bases. Counsell mentioned it after the game. Nico getting thrown out between second and third was a little bit of bad luck, because the ball did bounce away from the catcher, just happened to hit off Talkman and land right in front of him. And
what about Amaya?
Well, the Amaya one, that's probably a little. I thought it's obviously a worse one, but it was 2 outs. Was trying to stretch into a double. I mean, he did get thrown out by a lot, and from my vantage point, it didn't look like he took maybe the best turnaround first. Maybe he hesitated. So obviously he got thrown out by a lot. He didn't even slide. He got tagged out standing up. But another one where it was trying to make something happen. Didn't obviously make anything happen, and you ran yourself out of an inning. The offense was just wasn't there again today, and that's something we've talked about over the last week plus of games, especially since Bellinger went down, that the offense is just not consistent. They put up runs yesterday in New York, and they come back today and aren't able to get much going off Joe Ross, and then Milwaukee, obviously, with a good bullpen, was able to lock it down. And as far as Adbert goes, it's another example. He just can't get people out. That's it. He got 1 out today, gave up 3 runs. Counsell, hearing him talk about it, Wesneski was asked about Adbert afterwards, and you can kind of hear the hurt they have for their fellow guy, right? This is as much as Counsell, I sense the real he was hurting for the guy, because Adbert's getting booed off the field, which I don't know if that's anything he's ever experienced, especially at Wrigley, right? The first time he pitched, he's lifting his cap off his head and getting cheered, standing ovation. So, as far as what they've said, it's today it was just who they had available. They're in a stretch of 16 games in 16 days. They were in extra innings yesterday. Counsell said it best that you can't just avoid someone. As far as who they had available, like that was maybe the option that made the most sense, but clearly it didn't. Clearly Adbert struggled, and if you have a fully rested bullpen, you probably don't, or even more rested bullpen, you probably don't see Adbert there. But as far as what they need in the situation, they can't hide guys. They can't stay away from guys in this stretch. And clearly, they went to Adbert, tried to see if he could come through, and wasn't able to.
Our boss Jake Flanagan pointed out in the bleachers with the Friday 120 Club that Alzolay has been really, really good at Wrigley Field in his career. So maybe this was, I agree, there was nobody else to go to there. Like, you don't have another option, but it also seemed like maybe this is an opportunity he can give him. He gets right at home. He's comfortable in this ballpark. The fans get behind him, and he can get back on track. But now he had to have heard the boos because we could hear him in the left field bleachers. And I am curious. I'm not going to tell anybody how to Cub, but I am curious how you think those boos will impact Alzolay and if you think they are appropriate.
Well, so credit to Adbert in that we walked in the clubhouse immediately after talking to Counsell and Wesneski, and he was sitting there waiting. Like he was ready to face the music. I think that's when a guy is going through struggles, it's easy to just not want to talk about it. So the credit to Adbert for at least after the game being available. But he was asked he was asked about the boos, and as far as if that affected him or whatnot, and he said that you can't really let it affect you as a guy in that situation. It's like you're competing, you're going out there, you're competing, you're trying to get out, so when it doesn't happen, like if you let the mental part of that, like he heard it for sure. But if you're letting that affect your mentals and just the mental side of you as a pitcher, that's when you run into bigger problems. And that's something that Adbert said, that he's trying to keep a positive attitude. Every day going in, working with the pitching group and trying to figure out how to get back to some semblance of the guy he was last year when he was closing pretty well for the Cubs for most of the season. And so that's Adbert. Like he knows the struggles are there. He has the support of his teammates and his coaches, and he's happy about that. But he knows that he's got to be better. And the only way to be better to him is to, number one, just not letting what happened affect you. Like knowing that you have to go in and work to improve, but not letting it affect you mentally, because at that point you're setting yourself up for kind of disaster, and it's hard to get better when you're continuing to think about what happened in the past.
Yeah, so 3 nights ago, I screamed about Swanson's routine, the routine play that he committed an error on. Adbert was in the game. Eventually gives up the 3-run homer, right? Mm-hmm. So today, of course, after we're sitting in the bleachers, I'm bringing up Baseball Savant on my phone to see just how hard hit those ground balls that were hit up the middle that scored multiple runs were hit. And I mean, all I can say, Contreras, the one he hit, 107, all right? And then after that, honestly, not a lot of hard contact. And this isn't an excuse. I'm just saying that what Corey was saying a few nights ago, and kind of a rebuttal to what I'm saying about Alzolay and the fact that the defense has to pick him up. The thing about Alzolay is that he just doesn't get enough whiffs. And even though he struck out Tyler Black looking, I don't know if how close that was in the strike zone. I haven't looked it up on the MLB at Bat app. But the only silver lining I can take from Alzolay's performance is when you look at Baseball Savant. Churrio's single when he first came in, that ball was at 74 miles per hour. All right. Then Contreras hits the single. Then he strikes out Black. Then Adames hits one 80 miles per hour. All right. And then Bowers hits one 71 miles per hour. While I can sit here and say that the BABIP gods might not have been so nice to us, and those ground balls up the middle, yeah, even before looking at this, it's like, yeah, those didn't look like they were hit hard at all. When you have Nico and Dansby up the middle and they can't field those diving, it is what it is. And so, like, at the end of the day, Corey is right when it comes to needing more whiffs, whether it's Alzolay, whether it's whoever. They just need more of that, man. And, like, that's just a fact of the matter. I guess if there's one thing that, when it comes to the bullpen, Ryan, I don't know if you asked Counsell this, but before Adbert came in, before he got up, they had Palencia up. And I know he pitched yesterday.
Yeah, no.
But
my answer is no, I would have still gone with Alzolay.
Okay. Well,
Wouldn't you?
I'm curious. Well, Palencia looked good in his two games, in my opinion. Okay, other than hitting Harrison Bader yesterday, he looked good in the 10th inning yesterday, and he looked really good in Boston on Sunday. So I'm curious, Ryan, what did you happen to ask why they might have sat down Palencia?
Well, again, it's just goes that no, specifically no, but just it goes back to the question of you can't just avoid guys. Palencia pitched yesterday, pitched 2 innings yesterday.
That's fair. It's fine.
As far as rest, as far as the situation, it's Adbert. And, to your point of, some balls that found grass or balls that got through, as far as benefit of the doubt goes, without previous context, right, you could say, okay, like it was balls found grass, balls got through, it's going to be okay. But this is obviously not the first time Adbert's had struggles in the outing in the first month of the season.
No.
It's going on a few games now, so you can't, to me, give him the benefit of the doubt in that situation that it's just some balls finding grass. Because whether it's home runs in other games, whether it's giving up, 3 runs today, I think it was three or 4 singles and then immediately stolen bases, right? In that inning, and most, I think the first 3 were off Adbert.
Sure.
As far as stolen bases go, it's
not acceptable.
Yeah, it's to me, you can't really give him the benefit of the doubt. And then with the stolen bases specifically, Counsell kind of addressed that, and that there's a couple guys that did steal that just have good speed and they're hard to get out. But William Contreras isn't really one of those guys, and he was able to steal a base, and he pointed to that like they have to do a better job of keeping him from stealing second base, because it went single stolen base, got a strikeout, single stolen base. That's how the inning went for the Cubs. It wasn't a bunch of hard contact, it wasn't home runs, but it was single and then turning it basically into a double by stealing the next base, and that's what did him in.
Right. And again, I'm not defending Adbert on this just because of weak contact. What we've said about Adbert in general when it comes to just getting more whiffs, this isn't the first day, those weak ground balls that were hit today, they weren't routine. So, I have nothing to defend him with. I'm just curious, to what his issue is. Like I was talking to someone at Murphy's today, before the game, and I straight up told him, I'm as a fan, I can pull up Fangraphs and I can see, this guy is really good at this and this, and he struggles with this and this, right? I can bring up, Baseball Savant and look at a picture and this guy is walking the world right now, but he gets a lot of whiffs because he's a 90th percentile whiff rate, right? But when it comes to just this entire issue with Adbert right now, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not a pitching coach. I'm not any of that. I can't explain any of it, and I just feel like the only thing I can say, and it's not even a defense. It's more of just my hands are up and I don't know anymore. Is that he didn't give up a ton of hard contact again, but he's still giving up runs. What is this? What did he do something to someone and that karma's coming back? I don't know. So that's my big question. I don't know what to explain to people. I wish I could give someone a straight answer. And to be honest, that's the only reason that I'm sitting here and I'm still, trying to have some sort of hope that he maybe turns it around just because of weak contact. It's not like he gave up 4 straight 100-mile-an-hour rockets across the diamond.
Well,
I don't know what to do anymore with him, man. I don't know what to say.
Again, I think that just goes to my point where, like, I can't buy balls getting through. For me, with the struggles previously before today, I can't look at that as like, oh, he might be okay because there was some weaker contact. It's like, no, because it's still part of the pattern of him struggling. So for me, you can't stay away from guys, especially in this stretch. But if you have the option, like Adbert can't be in those high leverage spots. They started getting him in lower leverage spots earlier in the game. Had a couple good outings then, right? And like today was a different situation, just with the stretch they're in, the amount of guys whoever they had down.
And another one-run game, Ryan. Every time it's a one-run game, everybody that comes in is in a high leverage situation. Yeah. Even if it's, you know what I mean, even to clean inning.
It's not the 9th inning, it's still a higher leverage situation.
They're all high leverage if you're up by 1 run.
So it all works together, right? And we've talked about the starting pitching, which has been pretty good over this last recent stretch. Especially since Tyone came back. Wesneski had a great day today, and it's the other two sides of the other two aspects of the team. The offense and the bullpen that just weren't able to keep him there. And obviously, when I say bullpen, like Adbert, it was Adbert, but they got a great start out of Hayden. Couldn't tack on more runs when they had opportunities, and then Adberts are not able to hold on to that lead, and that's the name of the game. So for me, it's when they have the option, if they have the option, and moving forward, at least for until they start seeing progress, Adbert can't be in those spots. Yeah. I understood it today with Counsell explaining it. Like, okay, I get it. Is it still the best? Is it still like? Are you still happy about it? No, because he obviously blew the game in a pretty big situation. But if the situation needs it, okay. But if you can turn to another arm that maybe has a little bit more trust right now, it feels like you need to at this point.
I guess I'm just looking. I just want an answer. Like, is he cooked, or what's the problem?
I don't think he's cooked after. I know somebody in the chat was saying, the live YouTube chat was saying he's not a major league pitcher. Well, he might not be a major league pitcher now, but he doesn't have options. But he has shown you he's a major league pitcher. Yeah. Now, I can agree with. Maybe not all the time, the Godfather, Michael Collado, who's been saying since day one in our chat, he's not a closer. Well, he was a successful closer last year, but I can buy the fact if somebody thinks he's not a closer. Right now, he's not pitching of a guy that's worthy of being up with the big league team. Yeah. But
did anyone really think that it would fall this
no, and if he's not your closer, you still want him to figure it out so he can be a valuable piece of the bullpen somehow. Right. You need him to be.
Well, and hand up, like I'll admit when I'm wrong. I'm happy to admit that because I'm wrong a lot. Whatever.
No credit to
right, we all have practice. We've had lots of practice at it.
No, I mean, you said it. Colado's been saying it since last season that Adbert's not a closer, and while Corey said it, and I've agreed with that. Like, if you're a World Series contending team, Adbert is probably not your closer just because of the lack of swing and miss. All the different variables that go into that. And I said it going into this year that I think for what the Cubs are at right now, Adbert, based on what he did last year, is good enough to not cost them so many games, right? He blew 3 saves out of 25 last year. I thought Adbert would be good enough to at least get close to matching that. And and then if they were in a position at the trade deadline, I'm not saying this is a 2016 team, but if they needed a closer at the trade deadline, I thought Adbert could get them there until they upgraded. And clearly, so far, I've been wrong. The first month of the season, he hasn't been that. He hasn't been that guy. He has, 5 blown saves. What is this now? Something like that. So I don't know if this would count as a blown save, but
I always thought that he could.
Six blown saves.
Five home runs, and then this as well.
So I don't think any of us expected that.
In
a
10
month.
or 11 appearances.
Yeah, in the first month-ish of the season, month and change, I don't think any of us expected that. So, yes, I was wrong. I was wrong in saying that because as of right now, Adbert has not lived up to what I expected he could do this season.
Or what he expected.
Yeah, for sure.
Or what the Cubs expected.
I guess we talked to Adbert at Cubs convention, and it was the same tone of he feels really good. He felt really obviously the injury in September, but felt great throughout last season. Right. And then going into the season feels good. He even says I have a year under my belt. I know what I need to do just to be healthy to get through the grind of the season.
Hasn't worked.
But as far which he's still healthy. I think they haven't put him on the IL yet. But as far as the other side of it, as continuing that success, he hasn't been able to.
Yeah, I mean, I always was just hopeful that he could be like your Hector Rondon version in 2015, and you either developed a guy or traded for a guy at the deadline, whatever. I just never thought that we would legitimately have people in the YouTube chat saying this guy's not a major league pitcher. Never, after what happened last year, I never, and I know people in our YouTube chat can be really irrational.
And I don't know if they meant I don't know if they meant at all,
or just right
or
now.
Right now he doesn't.
But right
fit
now,
that bill. Right now I can see the argument. You just don't have options on him, so it's you don't want to just burn him completely and DFA the guy.
I'm not even advocating for that.
No, I know.
I'm just saying, as far as the downtrend that he has been on,
it's been a bad start to the season. Bad.
You could not have asked for a worse start of the year, man. I don't know. Carm, go drink a beer.
Carm's yelling at us. Is Carmel Cubs or a Sox fan?
He's a Sox fan.
I can never tell
Cubs
day by
fan,
day.
and then he's
Cubs fan, then Sox fan, and now he's trying to weasel his way back in.
I can never.
Trying to weasel his way back in.
I can never figure it out.
The other good news is that we started a Caleb Williams chant in left field today. So.
Okay. Hey, here's positive. Do we not have a Rookie of the Month on the Chicago Cubs?
We do.
Oh, they do.
So we've been talking about how Alzolay not only has not been getting the job done, but a lot of people say he doesn't have the swing and miss. It's one of the reasons a lot of people were excited about Shota Imanaga coming to the Cubs, right? Because he was a different type of starter. He showed you that in Japan, he got a lot of strikeouts. He was a big swing and miss guy. And then the question was, would it translate to Major League Baseball? So far, he looks like the steal of the offseason.
Oh, yeah.
Steal of the offseason.
Absolutely.
Especially the price they paid for him.
I don't know where this team would be without him right now, considering Steele got, hurt in the 5th inning on opening day.
Well, they've won all 6 of his starts. He's 5-0, but they've won all 6 of his starts.
Doesn't he lead the majors in ERA now that he qualifies, right?
Yeah. And he would have been 6-0 if there was no rain delay in his start against the Dodgers. And we kind of talked about this the other day after the start. He's just, he's definitely worthy of the award. Michael Bush had a nice 2-week run where you could have argued if he would have kept doing that for an entire month, he could have been right up there with him. When you, like we always say, when you step out and look at this team right now, 19-14, with all these injuries, these issues with the bullpen. The thing is about the bullpen is the Cubs aren't the only team across the league with these same bullpen problems. The thing is that what hurts about today is that you played, not only a division rival, but a division rival that's ahead of you in the standings. And you had a chance to at least be tied with them for first today, and now you're 2 games back.
I wonder if they would have taken first place, percentage points wise. But maybe not,
I don't know how it works.
Might have been.
I don't math, but
I know.
It's just one of those things. You feel like this is one that got away, but I don't necessarily feel like it got away. It's just more continuous bullshit that we've been talking about for 2 weeks.
Luckily, Will's not here. It's like his kids. It's like his kids aren't here.
Well, we're in a bar, so
they were up all night last night.
It's definitely a frustrating loss, right? I can totally tell, and you could tell in the crowd when boos are raining down of how frustrated people are. So, especially with Milwaukee coming in town, you had them on the ropes for. What is it, 7 innings, 8 innings, into the 8th inning. Had them on the ropes. Looked like you were going to win another close game, as you mentioned, Luke. It's a frustrating loss, but I think, Morel's you mentioned, Morel's starting to hit again. Hap had a decent day at the plate today. Wesneski went out and pitched incredibly well. And that's another guy. Yeah, Bush starting to hit again. But Wesneski, talking to him after the game, and he was asked about the life of a guy with options, a guy that pitches, gets sent down, hangs out in Iowa for a little bit, comes back up when he's eligible or when they need him, pitches again, maybe hangs around for however long, a guy that shuttles back and forth. And it was funny because he said that at the beginning, when he didn't make the opening day roster, he reflects on it and knows he didn't deserve it. He didn't think he was in the right mental space. Mechanically, didn't think he was all right. So he didn't think that him not making the opening day roster, he said he pretty much said he agreed with it because just knowing where he thought he was at, that he didn't think he deserved to make the opening day roster, and that he actually said that going down and starting at AAA was maybe the best thing for him, just because he was able to go out there, kind of get into the groove, have some success, and he came up, pitched for out of the bullpen. I think it was 4 innings, his first outing of the year, and then immediately sent back down, but then immediately brought back up because of another injury. And now he's got a 0.54 ERA, if I'm not mistaken. He had 8 strikeouts today against. He had 6 1/3 scoreless, 8 strikeouts against a team coming into today had tied for the 5th most runs in baseball and 2 less games. They're 1 run more than the Cubs and 2 less games than the Cubs, so they've played fewer games than other teams, but they're right up there in the top 5. And then as far as WRC plus goes, they were number 2 in baseball. And Wesneski went out and was able to manage to keep them at bay for 6 1/3 inning. I know he had some hard contact there too throughout the game. Definitely had some help from the defense, like that William Contreras line drive. PCA ran it down. It's just he makes that look so easy, which is insane. But that's PCA. You're starting to expect that now. But he had some help from the defense. Some balls not finding grass that maybe could have, but he still had 8 strikeouts. Didn't have those. Didn't have a ton of lefty struggles that we've seen him have in the past. So this was a really good sign for Wesneski, and Steele's coming back Monday. Whatever they decide to do with the rotation, having a guy in Wesneski whose confidence just got built up even more during today's start is a very big outcome for them, as they're still kind of piecing together how to cover all these innings for the next few weeks, but then the rest of the season. Got
to play clean baseball the rest of the series against the Brewers. You have Tyone on the mound tomorrow. You can't let them just run around and steal bases on you left and right. You got to throw some guys out, and you got to field the ball, and you have to run the bases cleanly. And hopefully Tyone can do the same thing that Wesneski can, and then at some point you've got to start scoring more runs. So that's just the way it's going to be for the next couple of weeks. I don't know what else to say about the team. I think it's good that they're in the position they are, but too many 1-run games will get them back to the 500 mark real quickly.
Yeah. Well, I was telling good friend who's been at every single Friday 120. His name's Tommy, and shout out to Tommy. And I was telling him, I was like, me and Luke have been saying this. You just got to continue to tread water. And, if you're at 500 by the end of May, consider all these things considered, you're probably looking pretty good. Now, if you're as many games as we are up above 500 right now at the end of May, that's an even better scenario. And I think that's possible. You get Steele back on Monday, which allows them to put someone in the rotation into the bullpen. Maybe that's Ben Brown. I hope it's Ben Brown. I think he's better in the rotation or in the bullpen. Mm-hmm. Jordan Wicks will come back. With these guys coming back from injury, it will, especially the pitchers, it will allow them to move some of these guys that they probably viewed as more as bullpen guys to go into the bullpen, help the bullpen that's been struggling. And as far as Alzolay, I don't know, man. I really don't know. We all thought they Phantom IL'd Kyle Hendricks, and he made a rehab start last night. And he could be back next week or whenever. I really, truly, Luke, have no idea what to do or what they will do. All I know is that if you're going to leave them on the roster, you just can't be bringing them in a 1-0 game on a Friday afternoon at beautiful historic Wrigley Field, man. I understand the reasoning today and all that, but that still doesn't change the result. Now, I know that Counsell's looking at things, more so down the road and all that. And honestly, that's the signs of a good manager, all these things, all that. So what I'm saying is basically contradicting how I feel. But when I'm saying that, they are talking about that, and I hope they have to make a decision related to him, man. I'm not saying DFA. I'm saying Phantom IL and See what you can do with him in Arizona or something. I don't know
It looks like a lower back to me. It looks like maybe a lower back.
I hate saying this, dude. I promise you. I absolutely promise you. This is the worst thing that I can sit here and say about a player. I hate sitting here saying that this guy's been this bad that you have to make up an injury. Bro.
Yeah, because he's a very likable. He's a very likable player and guy.
I really wish I didn't have to say it, but when you're not getting the results that you need, and he's also shown the ability, or giving up all these home runs that he's had over the season too, just in a month and a couple days, like. My hands are up. I don't know anymore. Collada, you were right, brother. Congrats to you, man. I don't know, man. Like, I got nothing for you.
You know what the good news is?
That I won who you got.
We're all going to die someday anyway.
That I won who you got today.
Ryan apparently won who you got. It's that we still had a great time with the Friday 120 Club.
Yeah.
The sun was out. It was beautiful, historic Wrigley Field. We had donuts in the bleachers. We had blue moon flowing.
I saw that.
Luke legitimately went to Do Right Donuts and brought his entire thing into beautiful historic Wrigley Field. And they gave them away to people.
The security guy that checked them on the way in, I think he was eyeing up the sprinkled ones, and I was listen, man, these aren't Bavarian cream. These are not yours. And so he let me through, and we had donuts, and we had vibes, and we had good times.
Yeah.
And it was better than being at a regular job sitting somewhere behind a desk at a Friday 120.
All I know is I'm going to follow/watch the Cardinals tonight and hope and pray they lose, so I have a silver lining. I need a silver lining like I need oxygen.
When's the next Friday 120?
May 17th, my birthday.
Oh, wow. Cody's birthday is the next Friday 120 Club.
We know crazy stuff happens on Cody's birthday. We've seen anything the last 2 years.
I saw way more Friday 120 Club shirts today, by the way.
There was a lot of green.
There had to be about 20 of them out there.
Oh yeah.
And we sold
Blend in
some
with
too.
the ivy.
Yeah. When we like basically owned the patio at Murphy's.
Pretty soon, Boog and JD are not going to be able to ignore us.
Yeah.
Because the left field bleachers will be green.
I know.
You want me to tell him? I'm like, hey, you guys should work out in left field next Friday.
You guys can't ignore us.
Gary, diehard listener, he tweeted at us, said that we were on the broadcast.
First
today.
pitch.
Yeah, first pitch.
Nice.
So I mean, I wish someone had tweeted a picture of it to us or something. It would have been great.
Yeah.
We're like literally right there at the very front row of 504. So they can't miss us.
You guys had a great day. A foul ball almost came into the press box. Like it was
Really?
on line to come hit me.
Who scurried away the fastest?
Well, it was literally. I thought it was coming
Bruce
right at me.
Levine saved you, didn't he?
No, I was gonna catch it, but then it hit the roof and bounced somewhere
hit
else.
the roof.
But it was on trajectory to come right in my lap, and I was gonna catch it.
Don't look for Sully's help. He'll never reach out and get that for you. Anyways, thanks to everybody that came out to Almost Home tonight and everybody that was with us pretty much all day long from the beginning of the day to after the game and during the game. Thank you all that came out. Thanks to everybody that joined us for the podcast, for the live YouTube show.
Oh yeah.
Cubs lose. What? Yeah.
One more thing.
Yeah.
His name is Austin. All right.
Austin?
He was in my TikTok live like 3 or 4 days ago.
Okay.
And he's like, Cody, my 21st birthday is this weekend. Like, what do you do in Wrigley or whatever for your 21st birthday?
You drink.
Oh boy.
And I was like, brother, you got to go to Murphy's and you got to hang out at the Friday 120 Club and then
go to Almost
Home afterwards.
And then come here and then after this or whatever, you can go down to Sluggers and get your hacks in because he lives in Michigan. So I was like, you got to go down there, right? I was just giving the guy some advice or something. I did not expect him to actually show up considering he lived in Michigan.
We took a picture with him in the bleachers.
He showed up with his mom and then 3 or 4 other friends.
Shout out Austin.
That was pretty sick. So I want to give a shout out to Austin and then of course, everyone else who showed up, man. It was truly, the good news about today for sure was definitely everyone who came out.
The friends we made along the way.
The friends we made along the way.
Yeah.
The balls that was caught along the way.
Absolutely. So.
All right. We're going to wrap it up. Thanks to Circa, thanks to Blue Moon, thanks to Almost Home, and thanks to everybody that joined us for the big party. We'll see you on Cody's birthday, May 17th?
May 17th.
May 17th, the next Friday 120 Club. Until then, thanks for watching the CHGO Cubs podcast. Oh, Greg Braggs wants to say something. Hold on.
What is Greg Braggs saying?
What do you got, Braggs? Is it actually important, or are you just trying to get your face in the podcast again?
He just wants to make an appearance.
He just kissed Ryan. We're going to let the show go. Thanks for watching the podcast.
God damn it, Braggs.
Fly the W.
Y'all silly like the mayor.